Let's look at another example related to the second criteria that we were discussing. Daniel and Anders, two guys, are wondering how cold it is outside. Imagine it's the middle of the winter up north. Daniel looks outside and sees that the water in the nearby pond is frozen, and he argues, the water in that pond is frozen. Water freezes at 0 degrees Fahrenheit, so it must be 0 degrees Fahrenheit or lower outside. Anders might reply, that would be a good argument if you were right about the freezing point of water. But water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, not 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So notice what's going on here. Daniel argues or presents the following argument. First premise, the water in that pond is frozen. Second, he sees it. The second premise is water freezes at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Therefore, it must be 0 degrees Fahrenheit or lower outside. But Anders points out that the logic here is good, as your argument would be good. There's a good connection between those premises and the conclusion, and Daniel would be right if he had the facts right. But he points out that there's a problem with the facts or the evidence or the reasons that Daniel is citing. Namely, what's the problem with the facts? The second statement is false. That's not the way things are. Water doesn't freeze at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. It freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And for those of you who are worried about the details of the facts, there are those two scales, Fahrenheit and Celsius, two scales of temperature, and Celsius is the one they use in science. They actually use it in Europe and elsewhere for the temperature outside, the weather, and there the freezing point of water is 0 degrees on the Celsius scale, not the scale that we use. We use the Fahrenheit scale for our weather, and water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're getting a little confused about the science, just ignore it. But the idea is that 32 degrees Fahrenheit is the same thing as 0 degrees Celsius. And maybe that's where Daniel has made the problems. But his problem is with his facts, or with the evidence that he is citing. So that's the second kind of problem you can have with an argument.